Hello and welcome back to Will It Work. Today we're going to take a look at attaching an Atari 2600 joystick to the Nintendo Switch. Now when I first thought up this project, I figured I could find an original 1977 Atari joystick. That was the year the 2600 came out, and I figured by researching serial numbers I'd be able to track one down. What I found out was there's an entirely different model that came out with the original Atari 2600 in 1977. It's called the CX10. The next year, they made a cheaper, cost-reduced model called the CX40, and that's the one they made tens of millions of and that all of us Gen Xers would have played growing up, unless your friend's parents happened to buy one in 1977. So I was able to track down the original CX10 here. They only made a few 100,000 of these. And you're probably thinking, what's the difference? It looks the same to me. Well, there's a few small little things to look for. One is this ring around the joystick has raised markings, and it's like that orange-yellow paint. It's faded here somewhat. But on the newer cost-reduced model, it actually has the words top up here, and that's missing from this model. Another thing is the button sticks out higher. On the cheaper model, it's almost flush with the joystick base, but here it sticks out and it clicks. But the big difference is there's a plastic plate in here and 4 heavy springs. And when you move the joystick, the springs make the contacts and tell the Atari what your movements are. So this feels very different than the CX40. It's very loose. If you remember, the Atari joystick was really stiff. This is really loose. This moves a lot more. So that is a telltale sign that you're with a CX10 if it's very, very loose like that. So how are we going to get the Atari 2600 joystick onto the Nintendo Switch? Well, the first thing I'm going to show you is the G-Bros adapter, and I did a video on this recently with the DK bongos. This is made by 8BitDo, and it allows you to connect GameCube controllers and Wii Classic controllers to the Nintendo Switch, Mac, Windows, and even the iPhone now. But that still doesn't explain about how we're going to get the connector in there. Well, I've done a few videos recently with adapters from Rapnet, and he makes all kinds of retro adapters to USB as well as inter-console adapters as well. And that's what this is here. If you'll notice, we have the DB9 Atari connector on here. It was also used on the Sega Master System and the Sega Genesis. And on the other end, it's going to convert it to that Wii Classic connector. He makes this exact same thing for the GameCube connector as well, but he was out of stock on it. But it doesn't really matter because the G-Bros adapter does both. One caveat he pointed out to me was that this particular one, unlike the GameCube connector one, would map the Atari button to B instead of A. But that doesn't really matter because the Nintendo Switch, you can go in and remap the buttons, and I've already done that. So I've just swapped out A for B, so that's fine. That's not an issue, but in case you want to try this at home, I just want to make you aware of that. So I'm going to get all of this hooked up, and then I'm going to take a look at playing 3 different games and the different challenges you have when you only have a joystick that is mimicked to the D-pad of the Switch controller and only one button. So let's get started. Okay, so the first game we're going to look at is the NES app that comes with your Nintendo Online subscription. Of course, this has very simple games in it that work off the D-pad, which is all this joystick is being emulated as, and many games only need one button. But it's not quite as easy as it sounds because Nintendo's very inconsistent on this with their games about what buttons you have to press to get a game started. And in the Nintendo Online app, you have to press the plus button to start the game for whatever reason. Of course, we have no plus button here. So what do you do as a workaround? Well, get you another controller, go into the app, we'll play Donkey Kong. We'll put the plus button to start it. We'll escape out and we'll go down to the controllers, and then we'll change the grip order. And then I'll turn on the G-Bros adapter here. And there it is. Press my button to select, and we're in with the Atari joystick. I played the Atari 2600 version of this with this joystick a million times as a kid, and it's kind of funny to play it with such better graphics now. Well, there you go. Not so bad. Pretty easy, and it works great. Okay, so let's move on to something a little more modern. How about Tetris 99? Again, very simple game. You can play it with a D-pad. You only need one button to rotate the pieces. But there's still one small caveat. The first time you go into this game, you get this like daily update screen, and you can only dismiss it with the B button, which of course we don't have. So as long as you've been in it with another controller and dismissed that daily briefing window, then you can go into it as many times as you want to for the rest of the day and it never comes up again. So I've already gotten that out of the way. That's the small caveat. So let's check it out. Okay, I'll skip ahead here while we're matching. And it works as you'd expect. No surprises here. So Tetris is another winner. Now what if I told you there was a AAA game from Nintendo that you could play with the Atari Joystick, get through all the menu screens with just one button, and play the game and complete it without ever needing anything more than a D-pad and that one button. And this is a game that's almost synonymous with the Nintendo Switch. Can you guess what it is? Yeah, it's Mario Kart 8. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, you need another button to drift and you need another button to use your power-ups, but you don't need either one of those to win a race. And let's face it, if you're out in front, you're not getting any good power-ups anyway, you're just getting bananas and coins. So let's go through it and I'll see if I can actually win a race with just the 1977 Atari 2600 joystick. Now it says press L and R to start, but guess what? A works just fine. Let's make it 100. Of course we'll do Mario. Now I do not have auto accelerate turned on, so I actually have to push the button to give it some gas. There you go. First place. Just with the joystick and the one button. So it can be done. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. This has just been for fun. The joystick's from 1977. The Switch is from 2017. That's a 40-year gap, and yet we're able to bridge them here and reasonably play games, and I think that's really, really cool. So I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, please like and subscribe. I'm doing another one where I try the same scenario out with the Atari Joystick on the iPhone. So I'll put a link to that in the description below. But that's all for now. Take care.